I mean, do we start with the crash or do we start with the start procedure bullshit? Let's start with the start procedure stuff, even though it's left kind of moot for Marc anyway with the crash. But let's go over it because I'm trying all morning here to sort of understand what's going on, what is supposed to be procedure, and what actually happened. I found this clip. I've come across this clip. MotoGP, it's on the socials. I might just put it on here. I might get in trouble for it from MotoGP, but we'll play it anyway, and you can have a listen and make up your own mind. Let's start with that. So as you can see there, all planned by Marc when he realised he was on the wrong tyre. One of the other bikes set up for dry. And then the way the ruling works with like the 3-minute board and things like that is in that 3-minute period you are permitted to change tyres. As I understand it, change bikes, get the current bike that you're on off the grid. You're allowed to just remove that bike, start the warm-up lap from pit lane, and then come back. And what Marc thought was you'd just start at the back, a bit like that Argentina thing that year, whatever. But since then, I think, as you can see, Mike Webb has explained there, you actually would start from your normal position and then take a ride-through penalty. I guess the confusing thing for me here is, the only thing that I don't understand is why we went into a quick start procedure. And I get that the thing was there was so much chaos, so many guys running off the grid. And I think a big part of it was Vinales went late. At the last second, Maverick was like trying to get off the grid when it looked like they were probably just going to release them for the warm-up lap because the guys were already in the pit lane on the spare bikes, going to wait at the end of pit lane, basically. I think that late move, then they just sort of panicked and went, just quick start, just abandon the start, basically. When I do think maybe, could they not have just held them? I guess it's just like, hold them, and then there's got to be a point where, like, once you hit that point, there's no more running off the grid. Like, you're just disqualified if you do that. Maybe Mav was just on time. I don't know. But that's the bit I don't understand. Like, why are they... why did they go into that procedure? I've heard a few mumblings about early on about if 10 guys, if 10 specifically or more leave the grid, then it's a restart or a quick start procedure. You abandon the start. I don't know if that's right or not, or if that's because I heard that on Sunday evening, and then I've not heard it again since today. It's currently Tuesday when I'm recording this. I've not heard that again since I've been researching a bit more this morning. So I don't know how true that is. So maybe that's why they did it. I haven't seen anything since then written in the rules or the laws or whatever I've watched in terms of been trying to get onto different podcasts and see what people are saying. People who are a bit more in the know than I am. But generally, I don't know if that's right or not, or if Race Directions kind of shit the bed. Like, I don't know. So I don't know why they can't just be like, all right, that guy's running off the grid. Quick, get his bike off. Everyone just wait a minute. Wait another 25 seconds while we get this bike off the grid. And now we're going into race start procedure. And then why, in the end, if we do go into a restart procedure where these guys have delayed the start, if the quick start procedure is triggered after an abandoned start, why do they escape punishment? Is, I guess, the other thing. Because they would have got punished had we not had the quick start procedure, which doesn't delay the start. So if we just had the normal, say, Marc had left the grid, no one else left, for example, leaves the grid, swaps bikes, comes to the end of pit lane, they go on the warm-up lap, he takes his place on first on the grid, and then has to serve a ride through during the race because he's changed bike after the 3-minute board's gone up, right? Which is different to what I understand him and his engineers' understanding of the situation were. Sorry if it's going to be confusing, but it's a confusing situation. So how come if the race director goes, right, this is too much chaos, there's too many guys running about, it's dangerous now, which I guess is a perfectly reasonable response. So let's go into, fucking everyone go back to the pit lane, we're doing a quick start procedure, we're going to go siding lap into one engineer on the grid, warm-up lap and race start, quick start procedure at 10 past 2 or whatever time it was local. So if we've gone into that, why then do they escape punishment? That's the bit I don't understand. Not that I really care either way, but it obviously does disadvantage the guys who made the right decision in the first place. Whether or not you think they should get an advantage for just making the right decision in the first place, I mean, I think they probably should. They've taken the risk on a wet circuit putting dry tyres on. Should they be rewarded for that? I guess so. But anyways, by the by, race direction has decided because you go into a quick start procedure, there's no punishment to be served. Even though technically you have broken the exact same rule either way. So whether it was only 3 riders left the grid and it was very calm and the bikes got moved off the grid and then they were able to start the warm-up lap as normal, that is less of a disruption than what actually happened. So I don't know if it's because if so many people are doing it, then it's just like, well, it shouldn't have been an advantage. Like too many guys are on the wrong tyre, so it's like you want to let everyone swap. I don't know. But if you're Brad Binder, I think it was Bastianini and Agura, I think were all on slicks. And then the guys who decided not to leave the grid who were still on wets, they would have been making the wrong choice anyway. But for those guys, 3 guys in particular, I know Davide Bruvio was furious, and I'd imagine the KTM guys were furious as well. You know, they never got that advantage back. I don't know why the main thing for me is, you know, the rules are the rules. A lot of people say Marc's played a blinder, probably has. But in my understanding, he's actually interpreted, and his team have interpreted the rules incorrectly. Because they thought he wouldn't be punished. He would just have to start from the back. In which case he's like, I'll win this from there. Especially if he's right and he bolts off the grid and 8 other guys follow him. It's like, well, all my competitors, Pecco and all that, are starting with me at the back anyway. So I'm only catching guys that I know I'm quicker than. I'm either catching 3 guys that I know I'm quicker than in Agura, Binder and Bastianini. And then the rest of them, if they don't come with me, they're on wet tyres anyway. So I'm going to catch them anyway. So I get that in that instance, he has played a blinder and he's played the rules well. Now, it turns out that was wrong. He would have had to have served a drive-through or a ride-through. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know, because there is a distinct ruling I've seen here as well that states. So basically, it's a clip from the regulations, the FIM regulations. All adjustments must be completed by the display of the 3-minute board. After this board is displayed, riders who wish to make adjustments must push their machine into pit lane. Such riders and their machines must be clear of the grid and in the pit lane before the display of the 1-minute board, which is what he was trying to do. Once the 3-minute board went up, he was like, let's go. Get this bike off the grid. I'm going to grab the other bike and join the warm-up lap from the pit lane. Such riders will start the warm-up lap from the pit lane and will start the race from the back of the grid, provided that in the MotoGP class only, weather-related tyre changes are not made. So if you make adjustments on anything other than tyres, you would... This is where they got it wrong. If you made adjustments on anything other than tyres, you would start from your back of the grid with no punishment. If you change tyres, then you start from your normal grid position and serve a ride-through penalty within the first 3 laps of the race. So they have interpreted that wrong, and which Mark Webb cleared up in that little clip we showed earlier. I don't understand why, and I'll reiterate this, if there would be a punishment that doesn't delay the start. Because there's another ruling as well that I've read and I don't have a clip of that. I'll try and find it. Another actual thing that says, if you delay the race start, you will be punished. So how come all the guys that went into the pit lane didn't get punished for delaying the race start? That's another separate regulation. I'm very confused. If people can clear this up for me, because that would also mean that maybe Pecco doesn't win that race because he went back. I want to say, who else went? Did Alex Marquez went? Jack Miller went. What was it? 10 of them, I think it was exactly 10 that went. And it was all guys near the front as well. So that opens it up for a potential race win for some of the guys that were coming in just behind or that who stayed on the grid. I'd be asking questions. I would be asking questions. So even though they did, maybe it is a regulation where you have to abort the start if more than 10 guys go. That's fine. Why do they not get punished then? How is that not then worse from the swap from just swapping bikes to get on the slick tyres and not delaying the start? That's what I don't understand. I might be going over and over in circles here, but can someone explain that part to me?